Hello and welcome to Odd Sock Comics. This is my new comic book day haul for Wednesday, April 24th, 2019. And I'm going to start off this video by a reminder to go and enter my contest to win this book in front of you. This is the Amazing Spider-Man King Size Annual number 16. It's the first appearance of Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. And it's a pretty cool book, and I'm excited to give it away. I will put a link in the description to this video to the contest video that will explain how to enter. Basically, you just have to like, subscribe, and leave a message on that video with a recommendation. So take a look at that link if you haven't done it yet, and enter to win a great book. All right, so I had an interesting day at the shop. I'm going to start by showing two of the books that I did not plan to get, but I ended up picking up for a couple of reasons. So first of all, I picked up Thanos #1, and I was really questioning whether or not I was going to pick up this book because the last Thanos series was obviously really good. That it finished off with Donny Cates and was a fantastic run, introducing Cosmic Ghost Rider and really digging into Thanos, and I like that, and I've read most of that last. I think there were 18 issues in that run, maybe only 17. I can't remember, but I read most of it. Missed a couple of issues towards the front half, but I was debating whether they could follow up on that great Thanos run with anything meaningful, but it turns out that they did a pretty good job. So I bought the variant cover. And this is a special preview exclusive. My shop often has these on the shelf, and he charges like $1 more than cover price, which works for me. It's kind of a limited to 3,000 or whatever. It's a limited run, and for $1 more comes with a bag and board. I'll take it. But I read this book, and it was surprisingly good. Now the whole thing is Gamora's recollection and telling the story, but it's really digging into kind of the origin and some of the drivers for Thanos and some of those pockets of his story that don't have a lot of detail. So it's pretty cool, pretty good exploration of who Thanos is. Written surprisingly well, kind of a character. Well, I wouldn't say that it's a character development. He's still just the Mad Titan, and he still just kills things. There's not a lot of depth to him, but there's enough story around what he's doing that it's still very interesting. So glad I bought this one. It was a good story. Probably, I'm going to say that another book was my favorite book this week, but this was probably #2. So good read. Was happy that I picked this one up. Now another one that I picked up on a whim that I am less happy about is this here. So this is Wonder Woman #69. I ended up getting the B cover. This is a David Finch, I believe. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the interior of this book. And it says Jenny Frison, but I don't think that's Jenny Frison. So I wonder if they've just got this all whacked off. So I want to comment on this book and really actually kind of tear into it a bit because it's garbage. It's not garbage because it's dealing with complex issues or anything like that. It's garbage because it's pure nonsense that they've tried to incorporate into a Wonder Woman story, and it really has nothing to do with Wonder Woman. It's more just using a new format to talk about ideas that they wanted to. So I'll get into that a little bit. So just fair warning. If you haven't read this and you want it to be spoiler-free, just skip ahead. In fact, if you actually want to read this book and you enjoy the story, you're probably not going to like any of my reviews of this, so just skip this entire video. But the basic issue here is, I'm not going to go through the story in a whole lot of detail, but you have, the Lust goes and hits a city, and everyone has mad lusty fighting, and then there's some violence, and the Cupids come out and they're all violent and everything. But the part that gets really weird is, so this is really strange. So the explanation. The reason that I picked this up in the first place is because it suggested that that Wonder Woman is going out to find Aphrodite's son. And that's what I'm going to pause this really quickly. I'll come back. If my voice sounds funny, I just had to look up. I want to get this exactly right, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I have the exact description of this book. It says, Diana made a promise to Aphrodite. She would do everything she could to help her find her son, Atlantiades, lost somewhere on Earth. And this is the trail. So I heard that they were going to potentially find Aphrodite's son, Atlantiades, right? So I thought, new character, let's see. The name is complicated. It's probably not going to be a long-term important character, but we'll see. So I pulled open the book, didn't really remember much about that, but on the last page you get Atlantiades. I'll get to that in a second. But in the meantime, you have a couple of weird things. So first of all, the description said very clearly that they're going after her son, Atlantiades. Okay? They don't know much about this person except that it's Aphrodite's son, but there's a couple of weird sentences here. So for example, there's a little explanation here about powers, and so it says, but would Atlantiades use their power for such destructive ends? So one of the interesting things that they're doing there is they use their, so non-gender specific, I think you see where I'm going with this, non-gender specific pronoun, but they don't know who this is yet. By every definition, they think it's her son. So why are they using gender non-specific pronouns? She never says my son, she says my child everywhere. There's a couple of other things that are a little bit weird. Let me see if it... Oh yeah, so right here, something changes in transit between one's homeland and an alien land. We become different people. So obviously there's transitioning. They're playing on that. So you can see where this is going pretty obviously. So you get to the last page, and there's the splash introducing Atlantiades, right? Now, I don't care if this is a transgender god. You know, they can do that. If the Mount Olympus gods, I don't even care about that. Big deal. But there are a couple of other things that just are driving me crazy. So number one is, look at this word right here. Atlantiades. They threw in here, let me zoom this in. So right here it's Atlantiades. Down here, where Diana's first talking about him, it's Atlantiades. So they threw an N in there. Is that just changing a name, or is that a editing error on the introduction of a new character? I don't know. Maybe this is something that's going to roll out, and it actually is supposed to be Atlantiades, and that's the change in the name because they transitioned to Earth, and now this obviously looks more like a female with breasts, but it was at one time her son, and I don't know whether they knew about the transition or not before, whether they knew that it was the son before. Who knows what's going on, but to me it sounds like they're trying to bring a transition story into Wonder Woman, and they're messing it all up because they're being too careful about it, because they don't want to misgender or something, but that kills the story. Anyway, sorry for that long rant. This book confused me. I'm not going to read the rest, but I'll probably read up on what's going on with this, because these kinds of things drive me crazy. Like I said, it's not even you can have a transitioning transgender character, who cares? It's what's the purpose here, and how badly did you botch this when you were trying to be super careful about your pronouns and stuff so that you're not, misgendering a transitioning person even before they know that it's transitioning. Maybe I'm completely off here. However, because of that switch in names with no explanation, and because, I just noticed when we were looking through here a minute ago, it says the variant cover is Jenny Frison, but it doesn't look like this is Jenny Frison. So, what's going on? They're editing in these kinds of books is just horrendous. And whew, anyway, this one got me thinking in a really weird way. And I'm gonna go and I'll just put it over there. I have no interest in following up on that story. They didn't do a good job of introducing a complex subject, so whatever. But okay, so those were the two books not on my list that I picked up off the rack because they could have been interesting. One was great, one was really weird. So now on to my list. My favorite book this week was Detective Comics 1002. Really good, kind of two things going on. Starts out with a combat between Batman and the Arkham Knight that was really cool. And then there's kind of a Damian Wayne capture scenario that also kind of plays off Damian as a character, which is fun. And it starts to give some hints about what's going on with Arkham Knight. So really enjoyable read. Arkham Knight's going to be a good character to follow up with, so pretty happy about this one. All right, next up, really good read was Silencer number 16. And so I was reading a little bit online, and it turns out this Silencer is going to be canceled. It's going to go through 18 issues, which I think is pretty good run, but I do like the character. I like the storyline that they've put together. It's gone really roundabout over these 18 issues, and it's told a lot of story. It's cool. I wish that it would have picked up with more, I don't know, gusto, that it would become a major part of the DC universe. But it's there. It's a good story. It's a character that can pop up in other places. I hope that she does. But this book specifically was good. A lot of action, a lot of fighting, a lot of, interesting combination of powers and stuff, so it's pretty cool. And they play with the powers. Smoke has unique, interesting powers. I don't know that they're unique, but the way that she uses them is something that I haven't seen. And then Silencer's got pretty cool powers that happen to work really well in this scenario, so it's a cool one. Next up we'll go with Venom number 13, and I really liked this one as well. So this is Cullen Bunn instead of Donny Cates, but it's a great story, and Cullen Bunn is a great writer as well. I've read a bunch of his independent stuff, horror type things, and it is Cullen Bunn, right? Yeah, and really enjoyed that. But this issue, it's tying into War of the Realms, which I'm not keeping up with, and I'm not going to be buying all of the stories. But I bought the Venom story because I like the character Venom, and I much prefer focusing on one or two characters than massive teams. So this is definitely the read for me. But you get some interesting development of Eddie Brock, and you get a new Venom suit, which is what everyone was kind of excited about, and it turned out to be really interesting. So this was a good read. If you thought about laying off of it because it's not Donny Cates, it's still definitely a good read, and the art inside is really cool. So pick that one up if you haven't. And I'm going to end with another downer, Heroes in Crisis number 8. Now, I absolutely love this cover. I wish that it was not the newspaper version and it was just this bright green Harley Quinn cover. That would be amazing. But I'll take it as it is. Obviously, it's the B cover. This is the Ryan Sook kind of milestones in the horror of the DC characters that would send them to Sanctuary. But this book is basically some shots of kind of mild action taking place while Wally West is confessing and explaining everything. And he does it in the standard Tom King way, which all the characters sound the same. Everyone sounds the same when they're depressed to Tom King. Not a lot of interesting things going on there. And not going to, I don't know, spoil it. You're going to read spoilers anywhere if you haven't read it, but it's not worth it. I think that they're going to spend the next, it only says there's 9 issues. Thank goodness it's not 4 more. So they're going to go with issue 9 is going to wrap everything up next month, and they're going to do something to clean up the mess that they just made. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just, we're all depressed and we could snap at any moment. Hooray, what have you done to the DC universe? You've made all of our heroes into, scary, psycho-depressed people. Thanks, Tom King. Anyway, not a fan of Tom King these days. Want to see him do something interesting with characters that's not just turning everyone into a depressed mess. I think he can do it. I'm just hoping to see it. Anyway, so these are the books that I picked up. I think that's it. Oh, I did pick up one back issue. So I took a look in the shop for West Coast Avengers number 10. That came out last week, and it had kind of the first appearance, or the first powers demonstrated of this character, I think Alloy. Number 9 talks a little bit about her origin and her powers and what they are. I don't think it gets quite into the expression of those powers and actually using them. But so 9 and 10 are kind of a pair in her origin and kind of first appearance as this new superhero. So it was interesting. I don't care about West Coast Avengers. It's not by people that I don't like their writing. I don't like the characters in it. So I only got this because I was talking last week a little bit about flipping, and I realized that this is one that I can probably flip for, I don't know, it'll cover one of these other books if I sell it for what I expect to. So basically buying this one gets me one of these other books that I bought free. So I'm going to do that. Somebody will like it. Somebody is looking for it. Couldn't find it on the shelves because it's a pretty low print run. So there are people that want these kinds of things in their collection. And my shop had it sitting on the shelf in good shape. So I can be that middleman. And for that, I get a little bonus to get a free book for my list. So glad to have that service available. Anyway, this is my collection this week. I gotta say, I enjoyed the reading. I wasn't intending to read so much into Wonder Woman, but I did because I was just so confused, especially at the end when I opened up the last page. I was like, oh, is it the new character? Yeah, and then I look at the name and it's Atlantiades with an N. I was like, that's not what I remember from the description. I thought there was no N in that word. That one's weird. And it's really hard to say Atlantiades. So I went back and looked and I was like, no, it's Atlantiades here. And then I went and looked in the book and she says the name Atlantiades. And I was like, I thought this was a son. The picture at the end is obviously feminine. I went back trying to figure out what's going on and seeing how they're messing with it. And like I said, this is not about if it is a transgender character and that's what they're trying to play. That's not my problem with it. My problem is the terrible way that they introduced the character. And if that is an editing mistake, if the name should be Atlantiades and they threw an N in when they introduced the character, that is an error in editing that should have somebody no longer being an editor. So I don't know. Maybe I'm completely off. Maybe I'm overreacting. If you know what's going on here, if there's more to this story, please explain it to me. I would love to hear it. This is just, I don't understand. And I've read enough Wonder Woman that this isn't something that is totally foreign to me. I kind of have seen how the character's developed and what's going on. I don't read every single issue, but I've read enough issues that I kind of know what's going on with Wonder Woman. So this one was just a little bit of a shocker. But I'll end there. This was a long ranting video with not a lot of new stuff. I bought a couple of books this week that should be coming over the next few days. I got one that I'm really excited about that's not, I'm guessing that most people haven't seen it. We'll see. But I'm excited about what I've got coming. And just enjoying the hunt. This is a great hobby, and I'm glad to be able to talk about these books. And I'm really glad to be a part of a community where we can talk about this and give back to each other. So go enter my contest, talk to me, let me know what's going on, and I'm still working on that sign-off, so give me a recommendation for a sign-off for the competition for an entry into the giveaway. That's all I got for this week. So keep on hunting, enjoy your books, and I'll catch up with you later.